Happy Friday. What is going on, guys? Welcome on into today's stream. We are live and we are looking at the S&P 500, and it is got a little spicy, a little like an hour and a half ago. We looked like we were starting to break down, but oh, we got a doji now. Does that mean that we're going to we'll see what this ends up shaking out as. Today is also, I guess, the monthly expiration day. So a lot of wonkiness could occur towards the end of the day. Either way, we do look the weakest I don't want to say the weakest we've looked, because we haven't looked like that weak, to be honest, in a while. But this is starting to like show those signs of like, oh, maybe we're going to break down out of the channel, which would be maybe a short-term bearish, scenario. That's how I see it. That's what I'm looking at. The S&P's down about 1%. It was down about 1.5%, almost, maybe, at one point today. SPY was down at 508.36 is the low day that I'm seeing. It currently sits at 510-ish. And as we speak, there's still a lot of inconsistency. So you look at S&P, right, down about 1%. Qs are down about 1%. That looks weak as well, right? But it's, okay, breaking down here, maybe there's something there. Some gaps to fill for sure. Down towards like 425 maybe on Qs could be kind of a zone to watch into next week. That's what I'd be looking at. The Dow is weak, but not terrible today. The Russell's actually up. So believe it or not, the Russell's actually up today. So IWM is actually green by about 0.25%. SMH semis are actually down a little bit, 0.25. Then look across the board. Airlines are up, biotechs are up, energy's up, financials are flat, regional banks are up. So like you got some good, despite the overall numbers being S&P and Qs and NASDAQ and Dow all being kind of red. So that's that. Adobe's getting nailed on some news. They had earnings, but then they also had a couple days ago, I believe, then they had news that nailed them as well. So that's not a great looking chart there. That was a stock that I was maybe interested in breaking out over the highs if it can get there, but that's obviously not going to happen for a while, at least. So we're going to see what happens there. Otherwise, this has been for me at least the longest period of time that I can remember, at least in a while, where I have not seen like a setup that was like Tesla was the only one that this week would have been potentially good. Sure, but I have not had something that has interest me to even attempt in a while. It's been weeks with an S. So that's kind of interesting, and that's kind of, it is what it is. So I'm hoping that, not hoping, but I'm hoping, well, I guess I am hoping that next week after the Fed, after Powell does his duty on Wednesday, that we start getting some better opportunities. I don't want to say like nothing can happen on Monday and Tuesday. Things can obviously happen, but the way it looks for me, what's the point of taking a position on Monday or Tuesday, knowing that we have Wednesday of potential fuckery, of potential unknown, just news. Like, I'm not going to hold through that, especially with rates right now, and they're pushing back up. The market seems a little bit sensitive to CPIs and stuff again, a little bit, maybe not. I'm going to make the executive decision that there will not be a trade made until post Powell. So at least Wednesday afternoon, likely to Thursday. That's me. That's my take. That means Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to backfill with other shit that I have yet to do that I need to get done. That's, pressing. So that's my plan. But we'll see what happens. What's going on, Flippa? It doesn't look good. It does not look good, but it also, here's the thing. We have been, I don't want to say trained, but it would not surprise me at all if this just hooks right back up. Right? How many times have we seen it happen? I'm just it didn't look good. If we close at near low of day, definitely a little more interesting to me than if we end up having this doji candle, essentially meaning that we have this upper wick, lower wick, and we close right in the middle, sort of near where we opened. Had a gap down overnight. So that wouldn't be, this would be, this just, again, even more so makes me go like, I don't know. I just don't want to mess with it. And so when you feel like, and again, this is just like my experience too, is that when I feel this way, more often than not, I lose. So why would I do anything until I feel good about something, until I see something and I say, hey, it checks the boxes, boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's go for it. And until then, I'm not going to do anything. But either way, markets will move. There'll be action to be had, and so we'll talk about it. Yeah, I got it. I got it locked and loaded. Now, you could probably, the problem is that like, you can draw these differently. So let's say that this is what happens on SPY. Like we can end up having this, you know what I mean? You can have drawn something like this for all I know. And SPY could come into here and then, bounce. Like, so you can draw them a bunch of different ways. Just depends upon how you see it. But the way that I see it right now, you get more touches, clearly getting more touches to the trend line if you draw it right around here. And pretty much, as in like, you're starting on the trend line is here. You almost get a touch there. You kind of get one there. You definitely get one there. You almost get two more here. You're getting one right now. So you get the most touches to the line. It's more significant based off of what I'm seeing at where I draw it in, where I drew it in. Is it perfect? No, because this could technically hold the trend line and bounce right off that level right now. Because you would say, oh, it's breaking down. Well, sure it is. Volume is decent. We still got about 35 minutes to go, and I would imagine volume is going to be good today. It was pretty high yesterday, so it's going to be good there today. The 10-year continues to go inch higher. It's pushing up on the 4.3 area. This looks like it maybe wants to break out here. I wouldn't be surprised if it does make him push over that level. We'll see into next week. I'd imagine going into Powell, going into Wednesday, the FOMC, that you're going to get more clarity on that. I would imagine for sure this is either going to make this bigger move up or it's going to roll back over to the downside. By the end of that, we'll have a sense. The dollar barely up. It's up a little bit, barely up. Gold and silver. Silver's up almost 2% today, believe it or not. Gold's down a little bit, but gold is wedging right now. Gold is wedging. It is building and developing a wedge. So you can draw the lines, and if you really wanted to, I guess I can leave that in there on the hourly. But gold breaking out. Gold getting up over like 21.85. That would be good looks for the upside. That would be good looks for this being a bull flag. It needs to do it though. And so we haven't gotten it yet, and obviously this doesn't have to happen. But if gold next week gets up over 21.85, that could be a trade. That could be a trade. If it happens, the timing works out. That could be a trade. Is it a perfect setup? Not necessarily. The only thing is that you look on these time frames and this upper wick just throws you off a little bit. So I would likely enter the trade if I was playing the breakout. I'd enter the trade here above that 21.85. I'm going to draw an alert there too. Crossing up. That would be my entry point, most likely, depending upon how the chart develops. Slightly discounting this wick, but I would take that one on the chin if it doesn't work. Just to try to get a little bit of a better entry. Silver up see how silver works though. Like silver a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago, pretty low, right, compared to where it's been the past year. Just like that, it's back up into the highs of this past year, right? It's back up into the top of the range of the past year. Now, obviously, gold broke out, but silver, but just like that, is playing catch up. And a day where gold's flat to slightly red, silver's actually up 1.75. So that's what I've been saying about silver, I think, the past couple of weeks. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it catches up shortly after if gold stays relatively strong, and it kind of is. So we'll see if that continues, but it kind of is. But anything can happen. That's the classic line, right? Anything can happen. So, yeah, don't listen to me. Now, but like you guys, like where is that, like, what is that coming from? That's coming from that comes from 100% adopting the mindset of literally anything can happen. I don't give a shit what happens. I don't care what happens. I'm going to do what my strategy tells me to do, and over time that strategy has made money, so I'm going to do that. Like, that's what that's coming from. It's not coming from, oh, I'm here telling you, yeah, follow me because I know where SPY's going to go next week. I don't fucking care. It doesn't matter. I don't do that. I don't want to do that. Maybe in the past, like, people get into that stuff. I mean, I got up thinking that I could fucking do. No. Whenever I see that shit, to me, that's me personally. After, I don't know, I'm 25, so I've been watching, like, I will tell you this. I stopped watching finance YouTube like about a year ago. It was phasing out, but about a year ago, and I really haven't, I don't watch it at all. Because what a lot of that gets into is it develops bias, there's narratives, and there's bullshit. And all of that stuff, I have come to realize, is not effective or helpful to me. So I'm not going to fuck with that shit. Like, I'm not going to bother. It's a waste of my time. It really is. It's actually the net effect of that, even Twitter, even X, like, the net effect of that stuff was actually negative on me. So that's why, like, this year, my plan is, we've been doing, or now we're back from the trips, but is to live stream pretty much every single day. But we're talking charts. We're talking charts and trading my trades. If I have a trade, we'll go over the trade live like we've been doing. We'll go back to past live streams, trade recaps. It's just raw. It's raw whatever. It's raw whatever's happening the way I see it per my strategy. It has nothing to do with I think this is going to go up because I think that the fucking Fed's going to jerk up. Who gives a shit? It's irrelevant. It really is. All it is a catalyst. All it is this. Like, at the end of the day, it's numbers on a screen. It's freaking colored lines on the screen, And you just have to figure out a strategy that works for you, that you can interpret that in a way where you could pull something out of it. That's all it is. That's why, like, when I say anything can happen, like, that's not necessarily a cover of, like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, so don't listen to me. Like, well, yeah, I literally don't, right? But it's because of the mindset, like, if you think otherwise, you're fucked. I mean, I did it, lost money. People, go look around. You're probably look back on your own, experiences in your own life. It's probably hurt you too, Same thing with the whole Bitcoin crowd. What I really dislike about the Bitcoin crowd is this bull and bear cycle timing, like, as if we're in a bull that's going to keep going. Like, we have no idea. Like, Bitcoin may keep going. It may not. So the people who are saying, like, this is the dip to buy, I actually, like, I'm sure people are saying that, right? This is the dip. This is what you wait for. Portfolio's down 5, 10, 15%. These are the days. Like, yeah, maybe, but maybe not. So at some point, you're going to say that and you're going to get fucked. That's all. Like, you just don't want to get fucked. And because people have made money, you're going to be up unrealized gains. You don't want to give back all those, you might give back some, but you don't want to give back all those unrealized gains, right? When the time comes, because you have to ultimately make that call for yourself at some point. If you ever want to get out, if you ever want to sell, like, do I want to sell, lock some gains in? If you're in Bitcoin, it's one thing. If you're in other small caps and other random cryptos, I mean, you're asking for trouble if you hold into a bear market. That's for sure. But you got to make the call. Like, we broke highs, if you bought dips, you should be up really good. Really good. You're crushing S&P returns, from those dip buys, average returns. So, you got to make the call to yourself. Do I sell some? How do I manage my backside? When do I want to get out? Here are the targets I'm looking for. But if they don't hit and this happens, I'm going to do this so that I don't give back all my gains. Like, you got to make the call for yourself. That's why I really dislike the people who claim that we must go to XYZ price, and this is the cycle, and it's going to do this. There's going to be 3 to 4 to 5, 20% corrections in the cycle, and then it's going to be over. Like, you don't know. You don't fucking know shit. No one knows. You can't say that with certainty, because what you're doing is you're just telling people and your followers, and you're giving them this information that's not helpful. That's so not helpful for them. It's really not. Because that's what people want you to do. That's what they want, despite you might say your other things leading up to that, but they want that, and they're going to stick to that. They're not going to stick to building a plan, risk management. No. They're not going to stick to that shit. They're going to stick with what's the target? When are we buying? When are we selling? Let's fucking go. Like, that's what people want. I think that putting a hedge on, I have been in valid territory for a hedge for some time. I haven't done it. What I've done personally in my portfolio is just sell. So instead of buying an additional hedge, I've just sold, and I'm out of margin. I don't, just because we could keep going up, of course, longer than maybe we suspect, or longer than you think, and longer than what the sentiment says, or this or that. We can keep going. There was some pretty interesting data that came out today. I think I saw on the news streamer in the Discord that was like some of the largest inflows into stocks, into crypto, into the Bitcoin ETFs this past week. Some of the largest inflows that they've seen in some time, or since the, I guess, creation of the Bitcoin ETFs. So that was kind of interesting. It tells you people are buying the dip, right? Or I guess I haven't really been dipping that long. And Bitcoin hit an all-time high a couple of days ago, so that's nothing crazy to say there. SPY, same thing. A couple of days ago, we're at all-time highs, so it's not, well, I guess no, we hit all-time highs last Friday, so about a week ago? Okay, a week ago. Yeah. Bought a 10-ounce silver bar. Nice. Now's the time to trim. It's up. I mean, you got to make the call to yourself. The thing is, like, if this sustains, let's say this bull market sustains into the summer, deep into the summer, then the thing is, if it does sustain deep into the summer, like, there will be massive gains to be had from here. So, but, you know, it's your call. Like, some people have the FOMO. I really, that's why I like the ETF approach. And then when it comes to crypto, who knows, you know, Bitcoin, and it's just the safer approach, in my view. But when it comes to that stuff, when you go with an ETF and you don't go into individual names, it drastically reduces the emotional attachment. Because if I had been in the Apple for the past 20 years and I'm like, yo, I can't sell my Apple. It's up a lot, but I can't sell that. Dude, it's been the best stock for me for my entire life. But if the S&P had returns like Apple over the past 20 years, it would be a lot easier to take profits, or at least lock half of it or some of it, whatever. Because, you know, hey, the S&P's history is, on average, it returns, 8 to 9% per year. So if it's averaged 20% per year for the past 20 years, that's way above average. Maybe, that's not going to sustain forever. Maybe we're going to go through a period where it's going to go below average for a couple of years or a decade or two to even this out. Maybe I want to sell. Like, that's it's easier to do that with something like the S&P because you have historical data versus individual stocks. They could do anything. Like, Nvidia could do whatever the fuck it wants to do. Apple could do whatever it wants to do. Now, Apple's actually not been super strong. But, in the grand scheme, it has over the past decade, so it doesn't really matter. Like, if you look back at Apple's chart, yeah, it's had its ups and downs, don't get me wrong, but, I mean, the thing has been killer. So, if you were to buy the post-tech bubble burst, say you bought somewhere in the middle there, you'd be up, over 47,000%. 47,000% in about 20 years, 22 years. What's the math on that? 47,000%. You put $1,000 in. What do you got? Probably a good amount. Oh man. So you put $1,000 in and you increased 47,000%. You'd be at $470,000 off of $1,000 investment. I mean, like, that's generational type of money there, right? But it was 20 years, you know. And that's the thing that's crazy. Like, when you think back to it, though, you look at Apple and you're like, oh man, if I only had invested more. Because back in the day, let's say back in like early 2000s, if you were to get into Apple, like, it's the same thing. Like, it's just like Palantir, people say now, or if you bought Coinbase, or if you bought like any of those stocks, like if Bitcoin ends up going nuts and that's just like wide adoption and Coinbase becomes like, you know, staple in every household type of thing, like then it could be that type of stock. If, you know, Nvidia obviously, but it, like right now, there's no way to know. So no one has like the problem is that no one has that confidence to invest more than like a small amount. And let's just say $1,000 is a small amount. Everyone's different, right? But if you were to invest $10,000, well, you know, you'd be at fucking 4.7 million in that Apple. And it's like, is $10,000 a lot? In the grand scheme, it's really not, right? So it's kind of crazy, but you would have to hold the entire time without taking profits, all that stuff. Again, to me, I think about that and I say, it's risk reward, yep. Potentially high risk reward at times, but also the mental load and the mental toll that is going to take over those 20 years, in my opinion, is not worth it for the unknown return versus a much more historically average return you could get with like the S&P, where you can pretty much back your way into, if I do this for the next 50 years, if history, you know, is a decent, you know, tell for a life, the past is a decent tell for what will happen in the future. Nothing will be guaranteed. There'll be ups, there'll be downs, yes. But if we average it out and we get something similar, I'm looking pretty good. Like that's all. I mean, that's just my view of it. Matt, no, I mean that's the thing though. How many times along that time frame though on Apple, right? If you bought, let's say in the 2000s, early 2000s, how many times would you have potentially wanted to sell it? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't have. Maybe you would. I don't know. I really don't know. But what I know is that if I was in the S&P, I wouldn't. The concerns about selling it when we're down and the unknowns, there wouldn't be as many. And the concerns about selling it on the way up, I mean, I wouldn't be that against trimming some of it off if I really wanted to, because maybe I want to diversify or I want to buy real estate or whatever, you know what I mean? Or the market was just up and we were parabolic for so long, I want to just lock some gains in and just hold cash for a bit and put it into treasuries, you know, like right now. You could. Nothing wrong with that. Lock your gains, you know, go get your 5% for the next year and then just shut up and that's it. Like, but when you have historical data like the S&P that goes back so far, it's easier to do that and it's less mentally taxing, I think, which then leaves you more time for other things that you enjoy, or the opportunities to do, you know, if you wanted to look at the market in a different way in terms of a trading approach, then it gives you the opportunity to free up the brain, free up the other side of the brain so you can interpret things. And you got to think it's different. It's a different approach, different mindset. So Bitcoin was down a good bit today. Now it's snapping back. Here's the hourly chart. This is actually, you know what I should have been thinking about, which I didn't. I really didn't. I should be looking for false breakdowns. And Bitcoin could have been good. Bitcoin could have been good if I had looked at that trade today. As in, this was a false breakdown. Right? Because we're in a much bigger uptrend, right? Big picture. We're in a massive uptrend. And yeah, we got a little pullback here the past like day and a half, but is that big? I don't know. It's not that big compared. And so you're looking for breakdown lower wicks that get bought up quickly, and then you're like, where would I have gotten in? Let's say I got in somewhere up in here. If you played that, so where could you get a 2-to-1? Let's say I got in the middle. Stop loss would have been under the wick. You would have just nipped a 1-to-1 risk reward. So I would be looking for more. I'd be looking for at least a 1.5, which would be up here. But we could get that. It's not that far off. Could get that totally. So could be good. Could pan out. I had a Starbucks alert go off today, and it does look interesting for like next week maybe, but also with the Fed, I'm not gonna do it, but I'll watch it at a minimum. But yeah, you got a level that my alert went off. It is going to be a high volume day today because we're already above the volume from yesterday and the day before. We still got 20 minutes ish. So you're going to get a high volume day. You're potentially going to be closing right at the breakdown level. If Tesla was a good example, then what may happen is like maybe Monday, Tuesday it pulls, and then whatever happens Wednesday is Wednesday. So there could be good opportunity for like a short-term short early next week. If it stays below, I would say like I wouldn't want to see this thing back above 91, and so that could be a rough stop. But I just don't know if the market. It just, what are you doing, right? You just wait till after Wednesday, in my view. That's my opinion. I think I'm going to shave the stash. It's getting annoying. Maybe trim it, but like, dude, like right in the freaking crevice corner of my freaking mouth, it's just itchy. I don't like it. But I don't know when I shaved it last, but I was probably from around when I was in Montana, so like a week and a half ago maybe. I trimmed everything else, but the stash I'm letting run wild for a bit just to see if I don't think I like it in general, but I was just like, yeah, let's see what happens. But it's survived the week. I'm surprised it survived this week, but I think that its time is running out. It definitely is, because it's just getting a little annoying. Yeah, and I can't grow past like here, like the goatee area. Once you get to like right here, I can't grow anything right here, and then obviously the sideburns will grow. So there's just like this empty patch right here, which is like, so I can't really grow a beard. I can definitely grow a stash if I really wanted to. If I let this thing go, I can grow it out, but it's just annoying. Turn the trash into treasure. I like it. Oh, I think I got a splinter. But I can't, it's like deep in that. It's deep in my finger, in my hand, but I can't see it. I feel it, but I can't see it. It's not good. Can't remember the last time I've got a splinter before. Usually this is the time of year that I'm very much into college basketball. Not feeling it right now, to be honest, but maybe that will change because next week the tournament starts Right now, you've got a lot of the conference tournaments going on. So it's like quarterfinals and semifinal rounds, which could be getting good. These games could be good today and tonight. But yeah, maybe I'll watch one or two. We'll see. There's a bunch of them on, so and these games become pretty interesting, especially with some of these matchups now into the quarters and semis. So should be cool. St. John's and UConn. My dad went to St. John's. It's funny. We used to go to the Big East tournament in Madison Square Garden. It's still hosted there, but we would go all the time, like every year, because we lived in Connecticut. So we would drive down to New York or take the train down. We'd take the train down to New York, and we'd go for one of the two sessions. Usually there's two sessions. So you'd have like a mid early and then a late early on in the tournament. So we'd go for one of the two sessions and we would watch, because back in the day when the Big East was the Big East, when it was like I think you had West Virginia, you had Pitt, UConn, Villanova. I mean, you had some freaking teams in there. Those were fun. Was Butler in the Big East? Butler was not in the Big East. Why am I thinking Butler? Was that because UConn beat Butler in the championship? Either way, those games were fun to watch. I always used to love doing that. Yeah, last year I was deeper into it because Penn State was like actually potentially on the bubble, and they won. They got to the finals of the Big Ten tournament, so that pretty much solidified that they were in. And then they got into the tournament and they rocked Texas A&M in the first round, and then they lost to Texas in the second round. But they had a decent team. Like last year's team, for whatever reason, was pretty good. They were able to put some games together. This year, the coach transferred to Notre Dame, and this year the team is a mess. It's all transfers, so mostly transfers. So not really expecting much. So we'll see what happens next year, though. But college basketball is fun to watch. One of my favorites. College football, probably number one, and then I'd probably say college basketball and the NFL are close. After that, I don't really watch anything else. I don't watch the NBA. The NBA, I'll come around maybe come finals time. Not maybe. I will watch it come finals time, but the NBA just, I don't know. I can't get into it. You know, the last couple of games of the year, okay, but prior to that, they just play so many games. It's like, I don't know. Fear and Greed's at 70. So this has come back, right? This was higher. Not really. This is actually kind of crazy. Fear and Greed's been just oscillating between like the 60s and 70, low 70s, mid 70s for the entire year. Like the entire year. It's kind of crazy that that's happened, despite just continuing to go to highs. Huh. Strength and breath have come back up. Put calls. It's getting a little bit of a perk right now, but is that super meaningful? I don't think so. I haven't really cared about put calls, to be honest, lately. The Fisker bankruptcy news is funny. It's not funny, but Tesla is the worst performing stock in the S&P 500. I assume that's this year, or at least as of late, it is. So EVs in general getting smacked. Question for that is going to be, is that going to be the buy? Is that going to be the dip? Or is that going to be something that you want to stay far away from? We're going to find out. Otherwise, we have 10 minutes until close. We should go on let's trim or let's slide through some Twitter stuff and see if anything interesting is going through. I don't follow many people on Twitter. What's Ryan Detrick got here? This is a bubble. All returns are simply multiple expansion. Huh. Wednesday was the 50th trading day of the year. S&P is up 8%, 8.3 year to date. When the S&P is up 5% or more on the 50th day, the rest of the year has been higher 24 out of 25 times. That's a stat and a half. 87 was the only time. That was some wonkiness. That is crazy to think. On average, you finish 12%. So that doesn't mean that we go up a lot more. It has, the beginning of the year being up the way it is, we don't tend to, on average, see it go like nutty the rest of the year. But interesting nonetheless. You know, my view though too about the whole like selling early and stuff, you know, like most people don't come out of a bull cycle, especially in crypto, green. Most people will not actually make money on it. So if you made money on it, it's pretty good. Pretty good if you ask me. The comments. I love it. In fact, I would say that when my kids leave their dirty dishes in the sink, market is up over the course of the next 6 months 56 out of 60 times. That's fucking great. Dude, I don't know. I just like going through that shit just makes me want to rip my eyes out sometimes too. It's like everyone's got an opinion, everyone hates each other. It's like, yeah, okay, financial fucking Twitter is just a waste of time. Depends, I guess. You could follow people who are good, but inevitably you get sucked into some of the shit which just drains on you. Gotta learn how to scale out. There is an art to that, and I don't think anyone ever. I think even if you ask some of the best traders in the world, like where they could get better, it's probably that they'll probably say scaling out. Because I think you get to a point where you don't you dial in the risk so well that you hit the stop, you're out. You're not fucking holding that thing lower than your stop. You're not getting blasted. You're not getting destroyed. You're not getting rug pulled. You are stopping out, and your minute, like the loss is the loss. But it's the maximizing the wins better that people are always going to be like, I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have, did this. I wish I would have held a little bit longer. I wish I would have held until this blah 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 happened. I think that's a common theme. So it's not a bad problem to have. I think it's a common problem in the space. I'm just waiting for the signs that the clear telltale signs that we are, bubbling up. But I don't think we haven't had them. I mean, we haven't had small caps going crazy in the stock market. We also have not had the crazy absolute shit coins going nutty. Like they've had some good gains, yes, but not everything. And they have not hit the mass appeal of grandmothers across the country yet, or across the world, I should say. That is when we know it is time to get the fuck out. Once your grandmother is asking you about Bitcoin, or any coin for that matter, or any stock, unless she's got an active portfolio that she is aware of, you need to make sure you are positioning appropriately. Oil puts in a flat day today. I was looking at copper earlier because copper was crushing. Yeah, copper could be good here on this little, well, it's trying to push up that level. But copper overall looks decent. The problem that I have with, well, it's not a problem. It's kind of like silver. You know, like you broke this trend, cool. Now it's popping off. Let's see if we get the volume to follow through and then that extension from here. But it's already made a good move off the low, off of, I guess, this consolidation. I wouldn't say off the lows, off the consolidation. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. With Bitcoin at 70K, the hype is not, it's not nearly as insane. I don't know how much of that is people are at work and aren't caring, you know? So maybe this is another idea. Here's another scenario. Maybe we need even crazier shit to happen this time to catch people's attention to then cause the mass euphoria and then the ultimate top to get put in. So what does that mean? Maybe some nutty move on Bitcoin, maybe even a nuttier move on the stock market, like something like that. I don't know. Because people aren't home sitting at their desk all day jerking off to Bitcoin. I mean, they're not. Like, you know, people are at work now and whatever, and the economy is doing apparently great, per what we are being told. Everything is good. People are working and have jobs. Maybe they don't have high-paying jobs, but they have jobs, or they have two jobs, or whatever, and apparently they have no choice, right? You have no choice, versus where in the past, the pandemic was kind of like forced shutdown and here's $1,200 a couple of times, right? How many times they give out 2 or 3 stimulus checks? I don't know. I forget. But you don't have that obviously this time around. So I'd be interested to see how that plays out. People hearing Bitcoin for the third or fourth. Yeah, it's like that's the other thing too. The cycle is like, you know, third or fourth time. You know, it's like this cycle approach, this cyclical kind of thing. People are like, yeah, I've heard about Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Maybe that's people are thinking that way too. So you're gonna need something crazy to happen for that people to be like, oh shit, I gotta get in. Like, you know. I don't know. That fits the whole. Remember that guy we were talking about, the whole melt up scenario. That fits that approach where like you have some crazy melt up scenario that puts in the top at some point to end this cycle. Timing, I don't think is really relevant, but at some point to end this cycle, whether it's this year, whether it's next, whether it's in a week. I made 2. Maybe a week is a little close. It's in a couple of months. All I could say is that if we see a parabolic move in the S&P, Bitcoin across the board, if everything is moving parabolically, that to me will be the ultimate red flag, And that is when we dial it in. We have to be, not even that, like it's not like, not to get like overhype it, but we focus in, we watch, and we get ready for fireworks to come at some point, because they will be coming if that is what's going on. And I'd love to see it. With that said, the market is closed. So what does FinViz say? We had a 48.3% advancing day, which actually is a pretty good sign, to be honest with you. Despite the Dow being down 0.5%, the NASDAQ down about 1%, the S&P down 0.65%. Was that accurate? SPY was down 1%. I don't know. That doesn't seem accurate. The Russell being up. Is that accurate? Russell was up. Yeah, that is accurate. We had actually more stocks advancing than declining. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah. No, yeah, we did. We had more stocks advancing than declining today by about 1%. We're a little bit less, but still interesting. Does that make me feel like we're going down? Everything is ending and the market's dropping forever? No. I just had this like, we were in a holding pattern. This is how I feel. We were in a holding pattern. And maybe it's going to come. We get the FOMC on Wednesday. Maybe we get a movement out of that, down or up. We will see. Either way, we'll be here for that. Plan for next week is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Actually, shit, what is Tuesday? I have to pull this up because I know for sure Monday I'm good. Monday's the 18th. Okay. Tuesday, we'll be live for about a half hour, 45 minutes in the morning. So Monday live in the afternoon, power hour. Tuesday morning live at the open. Wednesday afternoon, power hour live. Thursday live at the open. And Friday, power hour live. That's the plan. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Plan is to get out on a fat trail run tomorrow. It's been my first time back on the trails since the ultra that I did in Arizona. I've been running, but not on trails, so I can't wait to see how that feels. And we have 2 months to prepare for a 58-mile race, which is going to be fucked. But it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be a big test. Either way, that's my plan. Hope you guys get outside, have some fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.